10 seconds into the third quarter, and you could already feel the argument folding itself into the night. Not about who won or lost, but about whether the game the fans paid to see was still the same game they'd signed up for. The Eagles line up, they shove the quarterback forward, the ball moves an inch or two, and the chains go forward. Replay shows linemen twitching before the snap. The flag never comes. By halftime, social feeds were burning with the same verdict. The tush push worked, the refs missed calls, and everyone who hates the play felt vindicated. Yahoo Theithau, here's the rub. This fight isn't new. Green Bay actually tried to make the tush push illegal during the offseason. Owners voted, the tally was close, but it fell 2 votes short of the supermajority needed to ban it. The league left the play legal and, frankly, left the problem to the referees to enforce. That's what made Monday night different. Enforcement suddenly became the story. When a tactic is legal, but looks like it's built on bending the rules, or on officials choosing not to call them, the sport's trust meter starts sliding south. AP News here, a lot of hot takes tonight. Some will say the league is failing at protecting fairness. Others will say it's simply a technicality blown up by slow motion. Both get part of the truth. The rulebook doesn't say you may not push the QB. It says defenders can't be assisted in a way that's unsafe or that looks like a shove pile. Coaches read that and design around the edges. Officials are supposed to referee intent and advantage in real time under stadium lights. But in practice, that's like asking orchestra conductors to judge a piano in the middle of a thunderstorm. The optics are messy and the calls feel inconsistent. ESPN.com. Then there's the human element, the voice that went viral. Micah Parsons, watching from the sideline and the timeline, posted, "This is not football," with 2 trash can emojis, and that 4-word line echoed in stadiums and talk shows. He's not just trolling for sound bites. He's articulating a larger frustration players feel when a tactic systematically erodes what they believe the game should reward: skill, leverage, execution, not mechanics optimized to exploit a gray area. When an elite player says the game feels broken, fans listen, and the league notices. Yahoo Theithau. Here's why the outrage sticks. Consistency matters more than the call itself. If officials miss a false start once and then call it next possession, the audience instinctively smells bias or incompetence. The 2 missed false starts on the same night, one by the Eagles and one by the Packers on a similar sneak, amplified the perception that crews aren't sure where the line is. When the line looks fungible, accusations gather momentum fast. Conspiracy, favoritism, a league that can't referee itself. But the honest, boring answer is usually less dramatic. The game's moving too fast, angles lie on TV, and rules are too subjective for reliable optics. PFSN, let's talk consequence. What does a missed false start on a 3rd and short actually do? Sometimes nothing. A drive stalls anyway, points aren't scored. Often, though, it changes the math. The defense lines up differently. The offense gets 1 more chance to measure the push, and the downstream sequencing of 4th down strategy changes. Next thing you know, that tiny wiggle becomes a pivotal yard that decides a 4th quarter call. Fans don't get upset about infractions for the moral high ground. They get upset because those infractions change outcomes. That's why coaches and ex-players scream. It's not aesthetics, it's competitive integrity. Yahoo Theithau. So what are the fixes? There's no surgical answer that won't also introduce new problems, but there are pragmatic steps the league could take tomorrow that wouldn't require rewriting the sport. First, make short yardage false starts booth reviewable. Keep the on-field crew in charge of the flow, but allow the replay officials to check a single frame when a push play is stuffed or when the whole episode looks like a tug of war for a half yard. It's a narrow change, but it removes the did you or didn't you drama from the stadium and puts it where slow-motion cameras are better judges. Second, publish rapid post-game explanations for controversial short yardage calls. 1 or 2 sentences that say why a flag was or wasn't thrown. Fans trust transparency more than perfection. A quick, consistent explanation calms the mob nearly as effectively as a correct call does. Third, standardize a short yardage snap rule. A mandatory audible or a half-second freeze, so linemen can't inch without it being obvious. It's a small procedural tweak with a big signal. If you're going to run a shove play, you have to do it in plain sight. Each of these changes reduces subjectivity and increases consistency, and that's the direction the game needs. PFSN, there's also a cultural fix. Coaches and teams should stop treating every gray area advantage like a moral victory. The sport thrives when people value reputation and long-term respect over a single sharp-edge benefit. If you lean on loopholes for weeks, you earn the ire you get when the game changes. The Eagles will keep running the play because it works. Opponents will keep lobbying because it angers them. The league will keep patching because fans won't forgive perceived sloppiness. It's a spiral that only common sense and clearer rules can break. And let's be honest about enforcement incentives. The NFL owners nearly banned the play this spring, but they didn't. That tells you something. A lot of teams like having the option. The league didn't force a choice then. It forced officials to be the arbiters instead. That's a problem of governance, not just refs. If owners want a cleaner outcome, the answer is simple. Vote again or give the crews better tools and clearer language. Don't leave the future of the game to a handful of split-second human calls. The Washington Post, Ange Fried. In the meantime, the performance plays out in 1,000 small conversations, on podcasts, in bar stools, on the timelines of players who actually have to line up against it. Micah Parsons' tweet is one of those conversations made public. Angry, concise, and forcing a league-level question into the water cooler. But the real work isn't outrage. It's policy. It's rule writing. It's a 3-sentence procedural change that keeps the drama on the field where it belongs and the controversy in the clipboard where it can be solved. If you want a final image to carry home, picture the lineman at the line of scrimmage, shoulders squared, breath fogging in Lambeau's cold air, the ball snapped into a shove that looks both primitive and engineered. The play will get talked about because it's a perfect storm, legal, effective, and aesthetically disagreeable. The question now isn't whether teams will run the tush push, they will. The real question is whether the league will finally decide whether it wants the play or the referee to define what football is. Call it theater, call it tactics, call it a product problem, whatever you name it, the result is the same. When the rules feel optional, the sport loses the only thing that really matters in the end. Trust. And trust in referees, in the rulebook, and in the game itself is a lot harder to win back than a single first down. Yahoo Tatao. The Green Bay Packers reportedly pushed for the ban of the tush push run by the Philadelphia Eagles before it was ultimately upheld as a legal play for the 2025 season. That didn't stop star linebacker Micah Parsons from openly questioning the play on social media when he said, "This is not football," in a post on X with 2 trash emojis. If you ask the Eagles offensive players, they'll probably say that's the best thing we're doing on offense right now. Parsons told reporters last month after his aforementioned tweet. It's the most consistent thing they've got. That might come back and bite me one day, but it is what it is. I hate that play. Parsons got up close and personal with the controversial play on Monday night when the Eagles ran a number of tush plays that appeared to include false starts from both guards, but weren't flagged for a penalty during the game. As the Eagles were in the midst of their 10-7 win, NFL media members flocked to social media to demand a change from the NFL on how the play is officiated and ultimately pushed for the league to ban the play. I mean, come on, refs. What are not seeing? Former ESPN host Trey Wingo said before NFL analyst Matt Verderame called for the play's banishment. This is ridiculous. NFL crews can't officiate the tush push accurately. Either get better refs or get rid of the play, added The Athletic's David Aldridge. Even from the top of the stadium, the Lambeau Field press box, this didn't look right. But no flags, and the tush push is 1-for-1 against the team that proposed the ban, called out NFL Network's Tom Pelissero.